Welcome to Halls of Torment, where the armies of hell are coming for you and your only goal is to survive the relentless undead for 3 minutes. Sounds easy, right? Well, it's not, but that's what makes it so thrilling. This game has a simple yet addictive premise with easy to pick up mechanics that will have you hooked in no time. Whether you're a veteran of the genre or new to the chaos, there's something about surviving wave after wave of hell's finest that makes you want to keep going. Now, let's talk about the real stars of the show. The characters. Halls of Torment gives you 7 unique heroes to choose from, each bringing their own flair to the fight. From sharpshooters who can take enemies out from a distance to crafty sorcerers who manipulate dark magic to wreak havoc, there's a playstyle for everyone. Each class has its own weapons and abilities, making the game feel fresh every time you jump back in. So, whether you're looking to mow down enemies or control the battlefield with magic, the characters in Halls of Torment definitely offer something special for all types of players. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking classes in Halls of Torment. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Exterminator and Warlock. Alright, let's dive into some of the trickier classes you can pick in Halls of Torment. If you're looking to spice up your gameplay with a bit more challenge, these B tier classes are exactly what you need. They're not bad by any means, but they do require a bit more finesse and strategy than the more straightforward picks. So, if you're ready to test your skills, let's go. Let's start with the Exterminator. Now, at first glance, this class looks like a total powerhouse. It's all about burning everything in sight with its Flamecaster, which is basically a flamethrower. You're thinking, who wouldn't love that, right? Well, here's the catch. This fiery warrior is great for crowd control, but once those enemies start getting tougher and more durable, the Exterminator's firepower just doesn't hold up as well as you'd expect. The Exterminator shines at a distance, which is key because this class doesn't have the kind of defensive stats to survive up close. That Flamecaster summons a steady stream of fire, but here's the twist. Every time you hit an enemy with it, the damage decreases by 20%, and you've got a 10% chance to burn them. Plus, it can't be blocked. Sounds great, right? But as the enemies get tougher, this little glass cannon starts to crumble. So, if you're planning on using this class, focus on upgrading defense and range to keep yourself safe. Oh, and don't forget that flame damage can be a game changer if you can keep your distance. Early game, the Exterminator's got you covered. Late game, you might need to rethink your strategy. Moving on to the Warlock, who, honestly, could use a little bit more love. On paper, the Warlock looks pretty cool, especially with that golem ability it brings to the table. But when you really get down to it, it's not exactly the damage dealer you might want to rely on for intense battles. The Warlock's primary weapon summons spirits, called Ravaging Spectres, to attack your enemies. They've got a decent range and will home in on foes, but here's the problem. The Spectres are slow, and once enemies start getting in your face, they don't pack much of a punch. So, what makes the Warlock tick? Well, these Spectres stick around for about 2 seconds or until they hit an enemy 20 times, whichever comes first. They don't crit by default, which is a major bummer, but if you're lucky enough to boost your crit chance, you can turn those Spectres into a bit more of a threat. The key to making the Warlock work is all about attack speed. Since they can't crit at base, you'll need to hit fast and often. Increasing attack speed is essential if you want to stand a chance against the waves of enemies. If you're going full Warlock, you'll need to equip the right gear to complement your Spectres. Items like the Necromancer's Clutch and Firewalker Boots are pretty much must-haves for this build. The Necromancer's Clutch will help boost your summon abilities, and the Firewalker Boots? Well, they're just a solid choice for extra mobility when you're trying to stay out of trouble. With these items in your arsenal, you can focus on summoning those Spectres faster and making your Warlock a little more viable in tougher scenarios. But let's not sugarcoat it. The Warlock's playstyle is a lot more technical than other classes. You're not just spamming abilities and watching everything burn. No, you've got to be strategic, ensuring that your Spectres are always on target and that you're positioning yourself well enough to avoid getting swarmed. The Warlock requires patience, but if you can master it, you'll find it's an incredibly rewarding class to play. Now, let's talk about both of these classes together. They're both solid choices if you're looking for something a little more complex. The Exterminator is a glass cannon that requires a lot of finesse, especially when dealing with tougher enemies. You'll have to be on your toes and adjust your strategy as the difficulty increases. On the other hand, the Warlock is more of a slow burn, pun intended, relying on specters to do the heavy lifting while you focus on staying alive. Neither class is bad, but they each require a more calculated approach. So, what's the takeaway here? If you love a good challenge and enjoy testing your strategic limits, the Exterminator and Warlock are great options for you. They might not be as straightforward as some of the other classes, but once you get the hang of their mechanics, they can become some of the most fun and rewarding to play. Just be ready to put in the extra effort to master their nuances. And that's it for today's breakdown of the B tier classes in Halls of Torment. They might take a little more practice to get right, but once you do, they're absolutely worth it. Happy hunting and good luck out there. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Archer, Sorceress, and Cleric. Alright, so you've made it past the basics, and now you're diving into some of the more complex and fun classes in Halls of Torment. If you're ready to challenge yourself and think on your feet, the A tier classes are where it's at. These characters aren't just about brute force, they bring technical skills to the table that will make your playthrough feel a bit like a puzzle to solve, but in the best way possible. Let's break them down, shall we? First up, we've got the Archer. Now, I know what you're thinking, a long-range class in a game that's mostly close quarters combat. Yeah, it sounds a little out of place, but the Archer totally makes it work. With that 2-arrow attack, it's not just about distance, though honestly, being able to shoot from afar is pretty sweet. The best part? You've got the fastest base movement speed in the entire game. That means you can zip around the map, dodge all those nasty monsters, and still dish out some solid damage. But, and this is important, the Archer's health is pretty low, so you've got to be careful when things get crowded. The key here is to stack up on health and regeneration. If you can keep the Archer alive and make use of abilities like Phantom Needles, you're going to be able to handle pretty much anything thrown your way. Next, let's talk about the Sorceress. Oh, the Sorceress. She's a bit of a powerhouse once you unlock her, and trust me, it's worth the grind. Now, this class isn't about getting up close and personal. Instead, you're wielding Chain Lightning, which is a fantastic tool for crowd control. And the best part? It chains across multiple enemies, which is perfect for clearing out large groups of foes. She's not tanky though, so you've got to play smart and keep her out of harm's way. Honestly, if you want a character that's going to light up the battlefield with bolts of lightning, the Sorceress is your go-to. But again, just like the Archer, don't let her get surrounded. Boost her health and regeneration to keep her in the game longer. Then there's the Cleric. Now the Cleric kind of straddles the line between A tier and B tier. If you've been playing other RPGs, you are probably used to Clerics being all about healing, right? Not in Halls of Torment. This Cleric is all about dealing divine retribution with his Holy Scepter. He's got a 2-hit attack that covers a wide area and can apply status effects like Fragile or Affliction, which are super handy. But here's the catch, the Cleric has the slowest attack recharge time in the game, which means his offense can be a bit sluggish, especially as the waves of enemies keep coming. If you're going to use the Cleric, you'll need to focus on upping his attack speed and movement speed. The Elven Slippers, for instance, are a great way to give him a little more mobility and make him less of a sitting duck. The key to making the most of these A-tier classes is all about managing their strengths and weaknesses. The Archer is fast and powerful at range, but squishy, so it's all about mobility and keeping your distance. The Sorceress is a devastating force when it comes to crowd control, but she'll crumble if you don't keep an eye on her health. And the Cleric? Well, he's got great potential to clear the battlefield, but you'll need to work around his slower attack speed to really make him shine. One of the most fun things about these classes is that they offer something a little different. If you like the idea of running around, dodging enemies, and picking them off one by one, the Archer will have you feeling like a pro. If you love the thought of zapping crowds with lightning, the Sorceress is your best friend. And if you want to stand tall and deliver some serious damage while also playing a bit of a support role with status effects, the Cleric might just be your perfect fit. As for how you should approach each class, it really depends on your playstyle. Are you someone who loves fast-paced, hit-and-run tactics? Then, the Archer is going to be your jam. Do you prefer sitting back and letting the damage pile up with some serious crowd control? Then the Sorceress is going to feel like a dream. Or maybe you like the idea of being a slow but steady powerhouse who clears entire waves with a few big swings. If that's the case, give the Cleric a shot. Each class has its own vibe, and part of the fun is finding the one that fits your preferred playstyle. Another thing to keep in mind is the importance of item builds. For the Archer and Sorceress, boosting health and regeneration is critical because they're both so vulnerable. Equip items like Firewalker Boots or the Necromancer's Clutch, which can give you an extra edge when the going gets tough. As for the Cleric, improving attack speed is a must, so get those upgrades or equip gear that speeds up his offensive capabilities. All of these little tweaks can make a huge difference as you face off against more challenging enemies. The A tier classes aren't just about raw power, they're about strategy and clever positioning. You're not just running in and swinging your sword until everything's dead. No, you've got to think a bit more. When should you retreat? When can you push forward? Should you focus on a single enemy or take out a group? These are the kinds of decisions that will make or break your run with the archer, sorceress, or cleric. In the end, it all comes down to the kind of challenge you're looking for. If you want to feel like a lightning-fast, ranged powerhouse, the archer's where it's at. If you prefer to control crowds and deal with things from a distance, the sorceress will keep you on your toes. And if you like the idea of being a divine retribution machine with a little more nuance, the cleric will be your go-to. Whichever you choose, just remember, it's all about playing smart, adapting to the battlefield, and making those strategic moves that will keep you alive. So, what did you think? Are you ready to give one of these A tier classes a spin? Trust me, they're a lot of fun, and with the right strategies, you'll be unstoppable. Happy hunting and good luck out there. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Swordsman and Shield Maiden. Alright, if you're looking to totally dominate the Halls of Torment, you're in the right place because we're diving into the S tier classes, the best of the best. These are the ones that can make your journey through the undead hordes feel like a breeze. Whether you're a seasoned player or just starting out, these classes are your go-to for crushing it in the game. Let's kick things off with the Swordsman. Now, don't be fooled by its simplicity. This character is a powerhouse. It's the first class you'll unlock, and trust me, it's one of the most balanced and solid choices to carry you through the toughest fights. The Swordsman offers a little bit of everything: damage, speed, and survivability. With above average stats across the board, it gives you a solid foundation to tweak and tailor your playstyle however you want. When playing the Swordsman, think of it like the Swiss Army knife of classes. You don't want to just max out one stat, spread the love around. Boosting your strength, attack speed, movement, and even range will make you a complete menace on the battlefield. And if you really want to make the most of your Swordsman, don't skip out on short-range abilities like Dragon's Breath and Radiant Aura. These abilities work wonders when you're surrounded, giving you that extra edge you need to clear those hordes. But hey, maybe you're more about defense than attack, right? That's where the Shield Maiden comes into play. This class is like a walking tank, built to withstand the brutal onslaughts of the undead while smashing through enemies with its mighty warhammer. The Shield Maiden doesn't just rely on brute force. Her shield offers a unique combo of defense and offense, stunning enemies and knocking back elites with ease. What makes the Shield Maiden so good is that her block strength doesn't just make her harder to hit, it actually boosts her offensive abilities too. So, if you're the type who likes to play it safe but still wants to pack a punch, the Shield Maiden is for you. The Shield Bash is perfect for keeping enemies at bay, while her high critical damage means when you do land a blow, it's gonna hurt. Pair that with some solid short-range abilities and you're looking at a top-tier survivor. Now, if you're thinking the Shield Maiden might be a bit slow, that's fair. She's definitely not the fastest class out there, but that's where you have to play smart. Like the Swordsman, boosting movement speed can help you keep up with the pace of the game. Sure, heavy armor slows you down a bit, but if you play to her strengths, tanking damage and knocking back enemies, you'll be unstoppable. Honestly, these two classes, Swordsman and Shield Maiden, are a blast to play because they're both super accessible, yet deep enough to keep you hooked for hours. They offer flexibility, power, and resilience, making them perfect for players who want to experiment with different strategies while still feeling like they've got the upper hand. In summary, the Swordsman and Shield Maiden aren't just good, they're amazing, especially if you're looking to breeze through Halls of Torment without worrying too much about complex mechanics. Just pick a class that fits your playstyle and watch as you cut through the undead like a pro. And hey, if you're ever in doubt, just remember, these two are the ultimate starting point, and they can carry you all the way to the endgame. So, get in there, have fun, and let me know how you're wrecking those tormented lords. Happy hunting! The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.